News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Rix. American skier Breezy Johnson just won Team USA's first gold medal at the Milano Olympics in the women's downhill not too long after her teammate Lindsey Vonn suffered a major crash. Vonn clipped a gate and lost control just a couple seconds into her run. The 41-year-old's been skiing on a ruptured ACL, and spectators say they could hear her screaming in pain. Vonn had to be airlifted off the mountain. ICE's top lawyer in Minnesota has resigned. The New York Times reports Jim Stoley never publicly addressed the circumstances of his departure, but says it comes as the state deals with a crush of litigation stemming from the Trump administration's aggressive immigration crackdown in the state. He reportedly told a judge that the number of lawsuits filed by recently detained immigrants had become unmanageable. Meantime, White House border czar Tom Homan says he'd like to draw down the surge of ICE agents in Minneapolis over the next 2 weeks.
I came here, President Trump asked to come here, and we're going to do it smarter. We're going to do it better.
Homan speaking to ABC affiliate KSTP in Minneapolis. He says he'll need more cooperation from state and local leaders to do it. Exit polls show Japan Premier Sanai Takaichi's ruling Liberal Democratic Party is on track now to win a majority in a lower House vote. She currently holds a razor-thin majority in the chamber, and analysts say a win would be a clear mandate from Japanese voters for spending and investment plans. Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian described Friday's nuclear talks with Washington as a step forward and insists that the Islamic Republic's not pursuing nuclear weapons. President Trump has threatened strikes on Iran over its crackdown on protests, as well as its nuclear ambitions. He says more talks are expected this week. Hims & Hers says it'll stop selling a copycat version of Wegovy's new weight loss pill just 2 days after launching it. The decision follows the FDA's announcement this week that said it was cracking down on imitation weight loss treatments. Novo Nordisk, which makes Wegovy, had also threatened to take action. Block is making job cuts now in a big efficiency push. Bloomberg's Ed Kalegi has details.
Jack Dorsey's Block has been notifying hundreds of employees that their jobs may be eliminated during annual performance reviews as the payments firm embarks on a broader business overhaul. Up to 10% of Block's workforce is at risk of being cut. The company had fewer than 11,000 employees as of late November. Block has been retooling its business model and staffing since 2024 when it reorganized reporting lines and outlined a plan to operate more efficiently. Ed Kalegi, Bloomberg Radio.
Last week's partial government shutdown didn't last long enough to delay key economic readings, which means we'll get the monthly jobs report initially scheduled for last Friday, this Wednesday. Economists predict 70,000 more jobs gained than lost in January, partly because last week's job readings showed weakness. Stephanie Roth is chief economist at Wolf Research, and she says a lot of the jobless data we've been seeing lately can be linked to artificial intelligence.
We ran some estimates looking at the rising unemployment rate since ChatGPT launched, and we found that about half of the rising unemployment rate was tied to AI, and then the other half was more cyclical in nature. So the extent to which, sure, there is half of it that is structural that will probably continue to rise, but the portion of it that is cyclical might actually reverse this year if we actually do get a cyclical improvement in the economy.
Wolf Research economist Stephanie Roth on Bloomberg Surveillance there. She says this week's report could show the largest number of job cuts for any January since the 2009 recession. Washington Post CEO Will Lewis is out. He's resigned days after the newspaper laid off hundreds of staffers. It's a move that triggered backlash against billionaire owner Jeff Bezos. Multiple editors and writers resigned, and many readers canceled their subscriptions after Bezos took over the paper in 2024. And that's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Monica Rix, and this is Bloomberg.